Hey folks, welcome. And guess what? We are back.
We are back.
Gary's back. I missed him last week,
Yes,
right?
yeah.
I believe he was had some scheduling conflicts. Gary Petco with Knox County Schools Math Supervisor. I'm Ernie Roberts,
Yes.
and we are your co-hosts today for Mathline. All right, we're glad to have you here, Gary.
Love it.
And let me just quickly run down. What do we do, folks, when we call? Well, we call. First of all, we do 844-686-2378. We got an operator waiting to take good care of you. They will pipe you in. We'll talk to us. Don't feel intimidated.
No.
We're just silly people, right? So
math.
we have a good time. We are. We're math geeks all over the place, but we still want to help you out. That's the whole idea, is to give you help on your problems. So bring us some math problems. Let's see what we can do together. That number, though, you got to call 844-686-2378. It's a Monday. We know things are kind of slow on Mondays occasionally, getting started back and all. But we still want you to give us some calls. And speaking of slow getting started, let's get started fast with a problem of the day.
Love it.
All right, Gary, how about reading that one for us there? What we got going?
We're solving an equation. Solve for the variable n, and we've got to check our solution. We've got on the left side 5 times the quantity 2n plus 1, and then subtract 3 from that, and that's supposed to be equal to 2 times the quantity 3n minus 10. So let's find out what n is.
I tell you, that's what we're looking for n. And also, when you look at this thing, it looks like a lot of stuff with all those parentheses.
Absolutely.
Sometimes that gets people a little bit nervous and such. So let's see what it looks like here. We're going to work it together on this, and let's see what we got going on here in our paper here. There we are. And you know what? Sometimes it's all in how you look at something. I like to spread them out a little bit here, so they don't look like they're just all clumped on top of each other and nervous and make kids a little upset and what have you. And adults kind of get a little freaked out with it too.
Absolutely.
So sometimes, folks, if you rewrite the problem just a little bit, just spread it out and give yourself some room, and you can see the little holes you got to take. Now, parentheses always say, let's do something first, right?
Yeah.
So can we go distributive property maybe on
It says
these?
multiplication of distributive.
Multiply, we'll distribute right through. And by the way, distribute means everybody got to get hit in there. We don't just stop at 2n, which some of my students like to do. And on the other side here, we've got the same looking kind of parentheses multiplied by 2 there. So shall we go with it? Let's go after it, all right? First side, Gary, what happens on our left? Let's look at that.
Well, if I'm going to distribute, I'm multiplying by 5 times everything in that parenthesis. So 5 times 2n.
Okay, can I draw some arrows?
Yeah, absolutely.
I'm one of
Keeps
these
me
that
organized.
I have to stay on top of things this way, yes.
So that'd be 10n.
All right, because we are multiplying, as he said.
And
Yes.
5 times 1 is just 5.
That one's easy. By the way, folks, don't put a 1 back down there. You'll be in trouble.
That's
all
not
right?
distributing.
That's
Everything.
right. Distribute means all the way through, all the way home through the end of the parenthesis. Now, don't hit that 3 because it's not inside the parenthesis.
So we just subtract 3.
Let's just go ahead and put that minus 3, and we'll come back and get a rainy day on it. What are we going to do here? Same story, looks like.
Same, yeah, same thing. 2 times every term inside those parentheses.
So we're basically doubling everything, right?
That's a great way to look at it.
6n, because sometimes when people look at these numbers outside, they're thinking, oh, what am I? And when if it's a 2, 4, 6 or something like that, you're just simply doubling, quadrupling, or maybe, 6 timesing it. So, but in this case, it's a 2 timeser, so we're doubling, and minus 20. I don't think those words, we all understand what they mean, so it's not so difficult to take care of business on it. Now, I think we need to do something before we start moving things around here. Can we do one more thing? What would you suggest?
That last that I like to organize. Anything that we have that looks similar, let's put them together. And that 5,
That 5
subtract
and
3.
minus 3 look kind of like they should go together.
Yes.
So let's put them in there. 10n plus our 2 equaling to 6n minus 20. Now it looks like basically typical 7th and 8th
problem.
grade math problem,
That's right.
Where we move things around a little bit. So let's talk it here. What are we going to do on our ends? What do you like to go those first? I like to go those first for some reason.
I'd love to go to those. Let's just, because that's the unknown. So let's work with that.
Let's move with them. All right. So, it's all, I don't know. Something about the left side. I like to go there with the first thing. So let's subtract 6n because that's how we get rid of it, right?
We take it off of one side. It's like a scale. Let's take it off. Let's
Yeah,
subtract
and
it
what
off.
are those properties? This one's like the subtraction property of equality, right?
Yes.
So we want to make sure we're kind of remembering those things. Now, here's what my students really like doing. So, okay, got rid of those. And they sometimes decide that minus is going to go also, but we want to keep it. So we got a negative 20 hanging on because otherwise we're going to have a problem when we try to check, right?
Absolutely.
All right, and keeping up with this, we have 4n. We're going to add 2 on there. And now it's time to get the n really by itself.
Yes.
Move in, what do you want to go with?
Let's take the 2 by subtracting it off the left side.
Sounds good because it's hooked in by addition.
And subtract it off the right side.
Absolutely. There we go. And say goodbye to those 2's on the left, but it reappears appears over here, but we can put those together. They're like little like terms now.
That's right.
So we got negative, what, 22, and 4n. And you've done some great calculation already. What's this going to give us?
Let's divide by 4, both sides by 4, and we get n is
slide
equal
through
to
4.
negative
And we got
5.5,
n
5 and 5
equals-
tenths.
All right. And for those of you who like fractions, that's a half, okay?
That's right.
Negative 5 1/2. Now, it says, that's the first part. We solved, all right?
That's right.
Now, you know, I love it on Facebook. We have some of our folks who are chiming in there, and one of them said he did something, and it did not check,
Yep.
all right? And what happened was, when you check, that tells you it was off by a sign, all right?
Yeah.
So let's go and check this thing real quickly, all right? Can we go back to the page here? Thank you. And let's go back, and you know what, Gary? I always tell folks, because sometimes we want to go back, well, let's go back where it's easy, or what looks like easy, but we need to really go back to the very beginning.
If we made a mistake.
Because we could have made it right off the bat with the distributive property moment, okay?
Absolutely.
So, and sometimes, you know, folks, when we see it doesn't come out even, and this does come out even. It's 1/2, you know, and 5 tenths there. But sometimes we get a little nervous when we see that, so it's probably even better to go back and check.
Absolutely.
You know? So let's have it out here. Let's see, we're going to say 5 times. I'm going to put 2 times. I'm going to put my little dot there for times so we know what we're doing. And actually, I'm going to put a little another parenthesis in there. 5 1/2, it's negative, so it gets a little confusing there, but we're going to be fine. We're going to add 2 to that, and then I'm going to bracket this, okay? That's a good, does that cover me?
Nope, that should be adding a 1.
Oh, I jumped. I should be plus 1 minus
that's
2.
right.
I'm going to assume we can do that part, okay? Maybe I didn't do that right. Let's go put a 1 there, and we'll subtract 3. And on the other side, see, that's why you're on here today. You keep me honest. All right, 3 times. I'm gonna let you tell me what to do.
Negative 5 and 5 tenths,
Yes,
and then
good.
subtract 10.
Put you on the spot a little bit there.
Love it.
And we're going to subtract 10 from that, and then we will play the doubling of the 2. All right.
Correct.
Boy, almost off the page, folks, but hey, that's what
in
happens sometimes. We're going to condense this, make it simplified, because basically what we want to do is make sure we keep the same number over here in the end, the same number over here. That's the idea. That's how we check. So rock and rolling here, doubling negative 5 1/2. I think it's 11, right?
That's negative 11.
So we've got 5 times a negative 11 plus 1, which definitely I want to make
Correct.
sure everybody understands that. Some people just join us and go, what do you do? Where do you get that? You know. So then we're going to subtract a 3. And over here, this one's kicking along. My goodness, let's see. How about it? Negative 16 1/2?
Negative 16
We're
and
going
5
to
tenths.
double it eventually. Negative 16, 5 tenths. Subtract that 10. I like the way this is coming out over
I do
here
too.
because this one, and this one's going to, this looks like we're going to get some good stuff here. That's going to be doubling. That's going to be, my folks, some of you say 16 1/2. Just think about it. 16 gives you 32. Add 1 more to it, but we're going negative, right? So it's going to be a negative, what is it?
33.
We could do that, or we could just go ahead and figure
subtract.
this thing
Let's
out.
just put those
wait
two
a
together.
sec. So let's say 2 times the negative 26 1/2. Just as easy to do. I'm seeing negative 53 out of that.
That's right.
Does that sound good? Over here, let's see how quick this pops out. This is going to be negative 50, because we can do that mental math, right? Get a negative 10 out of that. Subtracting 3, I see a negative 53 also over here.
I do too.
So it checks out nicely, and that's where we go, all right? That's how we roll, all right? Mathline, here we are. Speaking of rolling, let's get some phones ringing, all right? 844-686-2378. We'd love to talk about math all day, but we want to hear from you guys, all right? Make the show rock today, 844-686-2378. We got callers, not callers, we got operators waiting by, and we hopefully will have some callers taking care of that opportunity, all right? So give us that call, 844-686-2378. Let's have some fun on Mathline. Let's have more fun on Mathline with you all participating. How's that? All right? And Gary, while we're waiting for them to give us some calls, hopefully, let's take a look at
Oh, I love this one.
love math that appeals to us, especially in the world of money, occupation, salaries. How do you make money? All that good stuff. So everybody's got their ears perked up now, I hope. Let's see what we've got down here. A story, a career. A real estate agent makes 6% commission on her sales before taxes and expenses must be paid. Now, we say that because a lot of times people say, oh, well, that's what you make. No. You make it's like a gross pay there. But you still got to do taxes. You still got to basically sell that house and a lot of there's a lot of work, a lot of money, effort that goes into having for advertising, things like that. So anyway, we're going to talk about what the 6% commission is on that price tag, all right? And how much money does she make if she sells a $150,000 home, which we sound like that's not bad.
That's right.
Pretty good amount. Now, a couple of ways we can do this. And the first one I always get worried about when we use the 6%, I'm going to talk it just a second, I'll let you concur on me here and you can let you take it from there, is so many times we miswrite 6% trying to change it to a decimal. Because we see the 6 and say, oh, 0.6, 6 tenths, it's 6 what? 600%, isn't it?
600.
So let's do a quick transformation. Let's change that 6% to 600ths. Right there it is. Now, what do we do with it once we got that 600ths? We got over that hump. What are we going to do with it?
Well, you know, if I read it just like I think about it, I'm saying what is 6% of 150,000? So what part of it? So that's multiplication to me.
Absolutely. Yeah. So it's like sometimes we think of, well, 1/2 is easy to do, 2/3 is easy to do, 3/4 or 1/4 or things like that. But 6%, it's like saying 6 over 100 times
6 over 100.
that amount. So we're just going to go ahead and say multiply it by the decimal form. So what's going to happen here, our next step is what? Take that 150 grand there and multiply it times
600ths.
600ths. And you know what? We can figure that out, right? Going to multiply 6 times 150.
Yeah. And we're going to guesstimate. And it's the very first, we know it can't, it's got to be.
Well, if y'all did 6/10 on it, it's going to be 90,000. I'd like to get into that profession, where I can make that kind of money.
So
now,
you can estimate.
So we already know that it's probably not going to be 90,000 because we can set 15 times 6 and we know it's going to be 90.
Because 50% would be 75,000.
Right.
And we got way less than 50%.
Yeah. So let's pull it down maybe to 9,000. You think might work? And so we can do the multiplication. I'm going to hit the calculator on this one because usually when y'all are doing problems like this in school, you are long ready to use the calculator. And we're going to take 0.06 or 600ths, as we like to say. And 6 over 100 will be how it would be written as a fraction, but we just play the decimals because we like decimals. And there it is, $9,000. And this is money. And $9,000 is not shabby. Unfortunately, you have to pay taxes, and you had to pay for the advertising on getting that house sold, and probably other little expenses that pop up in the process. Now, that's one way, and that is pretty easy because we're multiplying by 600ths. What's another option? Can we go proportions?
We could do proportions because it is 600ths is 6 over 100.
Okay, so that's where they get that percent over 100 business, right? So I like to just kind of set up from where we're going to show where we're going to come from here. We're going to look for a part, which is, guess what? The commission. What part of the total are we going to pay? Or what part of our base salary here is the base amount is 150,000. It's not a salary yet, but the part's going to be our salary. But we got 150,000. And you said something about writing that percent. What?
600. So we just read that 6 over 100.
6 over 100. That's
600.
Pretty nice. And I guess we can call our part P, N, X, whatever we want to call it up there. I'll just put a little X up there since I, for some reason, just tend to like that algebra stuff. We'll put the word out part, but it's going to be X, all right? Now, Gary, one of the things I always tell our viewers and such on a problem like this, we use that word cross multiply. And the cross multiply, it looks like it's an X, right?
It does.
Instead of multiply, you don't multiply directly across because there's an equals here, folks. So let's take a look at this little guy here. You've got an equals, and we're going to cross multiply. So Gary, tell me what's going to happen when we cross multiply.
Well, I'm going to multiply X times 100 because really what I'm doing is multiplying both sides of the equation by 100.
Absolutely.
But on the right side, I just don't really, it just ends up with 6.
You're running good ship. So we'll say 6 times what? 150,000. Now, for those of you like big zeros, big numbers, big money, well, you have it, but you're going to divide by 100. It's going to come back to where we were there. And nothing 9,000 ain't big money. You know, if you're making that once a month, yeah, you probably want a little more. I will, yeah. If you do it 2 or 3 times, I'll really take it. Okay, good stuff there. Now, we have already gone through this game. We know it's a 90. And how many zeros? 1, 2, 3, 4?
Yes.
That's one thing I think, and I got a little carried. No, I didn't carry away because there's your 90. 1, 2, 3, 4. That's right. Got to be careful on those. And now we're going to divide by 100 in just a second because we still got this. So folks, by the way, when you see an equation like this, don't let it get you nervous. It's just what you're going to do is take 100 divided into 900,000, and life is good. Now, we could do it on a calculator. There's no sense in doing it on a calculator.
No, with all those zeros.
Yeah, we're going to divide by 100. No, I'd underline those things for some reason. And now we can look at it this way. Okay, goodbye there, and I'd like to knock off 100. Knock off two zeros here.
Looks like we have 3s left.
And we have 9,000. Is that what we got a minute ago?
9 with 3 zeros. That's right.
So our amount, again, however you look at it, 9,000. So what's really good about this is again, we like to show on the show here more than one way to get through a problem. And I know a lot of teachers, we teach this and we structure this with the cross multiplication. There we go again. And I think it's a great way because especially if it's not, the x is not here or it's here or here, you don't mess up on whether you're going to multiply or divide. You're going to be able to take care of business if you just remember cross multiply and pick up your proportion out of that there and such. So that's a good one. That's a good one there. And by the way, folks, now that you've been entertained with how to make money and make money fast, sometimes it takes a little while to sell those houses too. But anyway, give us a call, 844-686-2378. We are here to help you out today. We're having a good time. But we want to have a good time with you guys calling in and talking to us also. So give us that call, and we will look forward to hearing from you right now. But you know what? Let's go to we've got a Hey Mathline waiting up there, guys.
Hey Mathline, this is Emily from Bearden High School in Knoxville, Tennessee. My problem is a pool fills at a rate of 12 gallons a minute. What is the rate in gallons per hour?
Wow, okay. Emily has told us that we have a pool that fills at a rate of 12 gallons. Thank you, Bearden High School again. They help us out in so many different ways on this show. And we're glad to have Emily with us today doing a Hey Mathline. And now we're going to look at how many gallons per hour does that rate as? And it's a rate, basically, isn't it?
Looks like a little unit analysis to me.
Yeah. So let's see. Let's take a play on this thing. See how we're going to do. I like the idea of that unit.
And unit analysis, yes.
And I'm going to look at possibly that we could do a proportion.
That's exactly right.
Another thing. So let's play it both ways here. So Emily, first of all, your problem asks. We start with 12 gallons per minute, filling up that pool. That's actually a pretty good pace when I think about it. I'm trying to think, it doesn't seem like a lot, but I think that how quickly I can fill in the gas tank, I'm usually done in a couple of minutes putting 30 gallons in or something. Right. So, I think this is a pretty good pace, and this, instead of being gasoline, is going to be water into your pool. All right. So, you mentioned dimensional analysis, which is a fancy word for what? Basically, what are we going to start with?
It's got ratios.
Oh, okay. Well, how about we want to start with 12 gallons a minute?
12 gallons in 1 minute.
And I'm going to use, when we use the dimension analysis, we see these basic units. And a lot of times folks go, what is that? Gallons over minute. It just means gallons per minute. Now, what are we changing to?
We're changing that denominator to hours eventually.
So maybe we need to find some way to transform from what, minutes to hours. Yes. So let's see. I'm going to go ahead and write that since we've talked about it.
So we need that denominator to have an hours in it.
So there's the H. We'll put for hours, and we'll put hours there. Some of you want to make sure you got it. Well, we know how many minutes are in an hour.
That's right, 60.
Most people do. I think all people do. 60.
60 for 1 hour.
And it goes in the numerator because we're talking about what? 60 minutes for
1 hour.
1 hour. So here we go. Dimensional analysis, Gary mentioned. This is where we basically can transpose these units out of the way. All right? So we can take our minutes, say goodbye to them, and look what we got left, Gary. What we got?
So we've just got a multiplication problem. It's 12 gallons times 60.
Well, let's see what we got. 12 times 60. Is that one of the things we can do in our head?
I think it is.
12 times 6 gives us 72, and toss a 0 on it.
720.
720. But now we don't have gallons per minute, thank goodness. That would be a blowaway moment here, per hour.
Listen, that makes sense because it's going to be higher than 12.
Absolutely.
Because we're doing more than a minute.
And we're going to do it 60 times over, right?
That's right.
For 60 minutes in the hour. Now, I mentioned another way that I thought about when I first, and this was really what we did was what I first thought when I heard Emily pose this question. But then I also began to think, we could do this using just set up good old proportions.
There's our ratio again, proportions.
Two ratios going on here. Let's start off what we had. We had what was it, 12 gallons?
12 gallons.
And that was per 1 minute, right? And what we're looking for is what is our end amount of gallons that would take for what? 1 hour. Now, dear friends, what we need to do is make sure that these are the same units. Because we've got gallons and gallons on top, life is good. And that's an N, by the way. Some of y'all say that's the fanciest N you've ever seen, right? It's a little slanted, italics almost looking. But let's put in for an hour, let's stick in 60 minutes, because that's what's in an hour, right?
That's exactly it.
Now, hey, this looks just like what's going to happen here, but
just like our last problem.
Yeah, the last problem we did, we had a little cross multiplication going on. So this time, and I guess basically we can say probably goodbye to these minute units. They're going to be fine. So I've got N.
Because that was 1 minute. That was 1 minute.
It's an N. My goodness, this just fell right out, friends. So you go like, I think I like that better method. Yeah. And then we got what, 720, and our minutes are going to take a hike. They're gone away, and we're left with gallons, and that, of course, is definitely how many gallons we're going to be putting in there. Okay.
And you know, that's what they'll use, that same concept in chemistry, in algebra.
That is so true. Probably in physics too. There are a lot of proportional things, and not to mention those upper level math skills, trigonometry, all those trig ratios, which by the way, we have been playing on some of those trig ratio business on our Friday specialized segments here. So it's a lot of fun keeping and seeing, again, practicality, where some of the stuff you learned back in 5th and 6th and 7th grade, now you keep working it right on up into the high school setting. Now, folks, we've been kind of hanging out here today. We've been waiting for calls. We haven't really had many so far, but we'd love to hear from you. It's still plenty of time. Give us that number, 844-686-2378. And once again, we keep prodding you, but we want you to give us some calls also, okay? So again, that number, 844-686-2378. We love hearing from you. Make the show rock when you call in. And Gary and I are having a good time anyway. All right.
Absolutely.
So we'll get to explain couple more things here. And let's put up one more up here. Right. And again, my friends, give us calls, all right? Give us some calls. We have formula time here. So Gary, tell us a little bit about this one. It's a 2A plus 2B moment.
Parameter of a rectangle. 2A plus 2B equals
So what's
P.
A and B about?
Well, if we're talking about a rectangle, A has to be the length or the width, and then B is the other one. So one's the length and one's the width.
Okay, so that's cool. That works. Sometimes we see L and W there.
L and W.
So again, folks, don't let those letters get you nervous. They're just dimensions.
Absolutely.
They're just lengths and widths, okay? All right, keep going there.
So we're trying to solve for A because they gave us the perimeter. They gave us the final result, and it looks like they gave us B, which could be the length. We're trying to figure out what A is.
And you know, there was one way that we could do this that we didn't, and here we're saying solve for A. So that's kind of the instructions there, and then we can substitute these numbers in. And folks, we could also go ahead and substitute in here, but we still are going to try to get the A by itself. So let's go down and work that first, and then we're going to show you that, yes, we can simply use that new formula that we come up with and find the missing A that we're looking for. So what is it, 104? No.
114.
It is 114, isn't it? Okay, all right. Well, actually, we just want to put P in there first, though.
Yeah, if one goes.
Because we're going to, we'll come back and plug those numbers in there. So, yeah. It always happens when you're getting close to the end of the show, right?
Okay.
So, what we want to do is get A by itself, right?
Right.
So, let's move that 2B that I kind of made a mess of here over to the other side. And we're going to subtract 2B from both sides, which is going to let those go away, right?
Right.
And notice I'm not going to say this. We can't combine these, can we?
No, we can't. They're not like terms.
So this is where we have to keep things moving on this. So we got P minus 2B is still equal to 2A.
Right.
So where do we go from here, Gary? Because we're running close on time.
We've got to get A by itself, so divide by 2.
All right. And we want to make sure when we divide by 2, we divide everything by 2.
Right.
Or we just make it a nice collective fraction looking there, okay? Now, what have we got? A equals P minus 2B all over 2. P is perimeter, B is our dimension. Now, we've got some numbers we know, so let's take this back over here. Since we were jumping the gun a little bit there, I was all excited. And P minus, what is it? 2B all over 2. Now we're going to put our numbers in that we've got. P is how much, Gary? Give me some numbers
114.
here. 114. Keep going with me.
Minus 2 times 31.
I'll do that.
All divided by 2.
All that divided by 2. So, my friends, there are no variables left, are there? Except for A. So that really worked kind of nice. So let's see what we got. 114 minus what's 2 times that?
62.
62. Boy, we made those numbers good. All over 2. And I'm ready to do some subtraction then, because that's like parentheses,
Right.
order of operations.
52.
So what do we got, 52?
52 divided by 2,
And that gives us
26.
26. And we can go back and compare that. 2 times 26 is what, 52?
2.
2 times that, 60, adds up to
114.
114. So life is good. It checks out. By the way, that is a 26, not to be, folks. 26. There we are.
Or not to be.
So, to be, but it actually came out to be A. So, hey, thanks for tuning in. Gary, thank you for
Thank
being
you.
with
Yeah,
us
enjoyed
today.
it.
I hope you've enjoyed it. He'll be back on Mondays. He's
Monday.
our Monday thing. And we're glad to have him with him today. Now, tomorrow you get back with me. And, you know, we look forward to seeing you every time. And we will look forward to seeing you next time also.